He created the crown jewel of Russian social media, VKontakte, Russia's Facebook, a platform that made him a star, a millionaire, a tech prodigy. But then, in a country where power looms larger than success, he faced mounting pressure, conflicts with shareholders, including the powerful Mail.ru group, combined with demands from Russian authorities, pushed him out. In 2014, he sold his stake and left his creation behind, a warning to every entrepreneur. In Russia, no empire is entirely yours, no matter how brilliant your creation. Most would have vanished, broken, silenced. But Pavel Durov didn't vanish. He re-emerged with something far bigger and far more dangerous. Telegram, a platform now used by hundreds of millions. Unlike major tech giants, it's not beholden to traditional shareholders or corporate boardrooms. Through unconventional funding like cryptocurrency and bonds, Durov maintains near total control, free from the pressures of typical investors. Just one man steering it all. Near complete freedom and immense responsibility. It's the dream of every founder and the nightmare of every regulator. Because when one man commands a platform that moves revolutions and markets, the question isn't just what he can build. It's what he can destroy, but who is the kind of man who chooses to carry that burden alone? To some, he's a savior. A digital Robin Hood who shields activists, whistleblowers, and anyone fleeing censorship. To others, he's reckless, even dangerous, providing the same sanctuary to extremists, conspiracy theorists, and violent networks. The paradox is hardwired into Telegram, a fortress for freedom and a playground for chaos. He is celebrated and condemned in the same breath. But you can't understand the man by looking only at the empire. To know why he built this double-edged platform, you have to trace the shadows back to where it all began. While Silicon Valley billionaires flood our feeds with tweets, selfies, and stage shows, Pavel Durov remains almost invisible. No celebrity interviews, no scandalous headlines, no private jet photo ops. He doesn't play the fame game. Instead, he crafts something rarer, a myth. His silence, his distance, they don't weaken him. They feed the legend. Every absence makes him more untouchable. Because invisibility for him is not retreat, it's power. And it's the key to understanding why he's reshaping the digital world on his own terms. Picture a classroom in St. Petersburg. A professor walks in and every student rises, except one, Pavel Durov. He stays seated, calm, unbothered, staring straight ahead. To his classmates, it looked like arrogance. To him, it was principle. He refused to bow to authority just because tradition demanded it. A small, almost petty act of defiance. But hidden in that moment was the blueprint of his life. Resist, refuse, and never kneel. That stubborn spark in a university classroom would grow into a firestorm that governments around the world would one day have to face. Years later, the stakes were no longer symbolic. Police stormed the VKontakte offices. His company, his creation, was no longer his. But instead of a confrontation, he slipped quietly out the back door and vanished. Just like that, he left behind his country, his fortune, his old life. He has never returned. Exile became his new reality. For most, that would have been the end of the story. A man crushed by the system, another casualty of power. But exile didn't silence him. It sharpened him. Out of that escape, a new idea began to take form. An idea called Telegram. Listen to his own words. I don't own cars, I don't own property, I don't own real estate. It sounds almost absurd coming from a man worth billions, but Pavel Durov has cultivated an image more like a wandering monk than a Silicon Valley titan. Based in Dubai, he keeps his possessions few, his movements unpredictable, shunning the yachts and mansions of his peers. To outsiders, it looks like renunciation, but to him, it's insulation. The less you own, the less they can take. Still, this disciplined image wasn't a retreat from the world. It was preparation, because the battles ahead would only grow larger. He doesn't just avoid governments, he avoids borders altogether. No fixed address, no permanent residence, no family nest. Stateless by choice, untethered by design. Every city is temporary. Every hotel room, a base camp. It makes him impossible to pin down, a ghost in the machine. But there's a darker side to this freedom. Because when you belong nowhere, you also belong to no one. Power without anchor. Wealth without home. Influence without roots. That's the paradox of Durov's life. To be freer than any billionaire alive, but lonelier than most men could bear. And in that solitude, Telegram grew into something the world could no longer ignore. It started with a simple demand. Russia's FSB wanted the data of protesters organizing on VK. Names, numbers, digital fingerprints they could use to crush dissent. Durov said no. One word, and the bridge was burned forever. In that refusal, he wasn't just protecting users, he was defying a system intent on controlling the internet. From that moment on, Moscow branded him an enemy, later attempting to block Telegram in a broader fight against online anonymity. But Russia was only the beginning. Because once you tell one government no, others start lining up at your door. Iran, China, Turkey, even some democracies, one by one, several governments have demanded backdoors into Telegram, citing terrorism or public unrest, like its use in Hong Kong's protests or Iran's uprisings. The truth is simpler. Many fear a platform they cannot control. To activists, Telegram is a lifeline. To authorities, it's a blind spot. And to criminals, it's a sanctuary. That triple identity makes Telegram irresistible and dangerous. No country wants it fully free. Few can fully stop it. And so the pressure never ends. It only grows. Think about it. In the old Cold War, the battleground was nuclear missiles and hidden bases. Today, the battlefield fits inside your pocket. Governments view Telegram not just as an app, but as a symbol of untamed digital freedom. Its encrypted code empowers users, from protesters to dissidents, but also sparks controversy. In this shadow war, every download feels like an act of defiance. But unlike the spies of old, Durov has no country behind him. No safe house, no protective flag. Just himself. Standing against the system that demands control. Mark Zuckerberg commands armies of lawyers. Elon Musk has shareholders and Wall Street. Even Bezos has Washington ties. Durov? He relies on a small team of developers and lawyers. But his fierce independence sets him apart. No traditional investors pull his strings, no state defends him. This freedom makes him incorruptible, yes, but also exposed, a single point of failure in a global storm. Strength forged in independence can carry you far. But it also leaves cracks no one else can see. And those cracks widen with every battle he refuses to lose. Apple called, Google called, Facebook too. They all wanted a piece of Telegram, or all of it. The offer stretched into the billions. Life-changing, empire-making money. Durov didn't hesitate. He said no, every time. To some, it was visionary, a refusal to sell out. To others, it was reckless madness, the kind of arrogance that only ends in collapse, but rejection is a gamble. Because the moment you turn down the giants, you stand alone. No allies, no safety net. And the higher you climb alone, the further you can fall. Over and over, states come knocking. We need access. Just weaken the encryption a little. Just give us the keys. And over, Durov refuses. No compromise. No secret door. That stubborn defiance has earned Telegram an almost religious trust among its users. But it has also sparked controversy, with some governments viewing it as a challenge to their authority. Because when you position yourself as ungovernable, you're not just building an app, you're building a symbol. And symbols are things the world's most powerful institutions are trained to confront. Picture this, St. Petersburg, 2012. A young tech billionaire leans out the window of his V-Contact office and tosses paper airplanes into the street, each one folded around a 5,000 ruble note, cash literally falling from the sky. Below, chaos erupts, people sprinting, shoving, clawing for scraps of money. To some, it was generosity, to others, a reckless provocation. For Durov, it was a spectacle. A statement that money was just paper, disposable, laughable. A prank, yes, but also a glimpse into his mindset. Power, to him, was never in the bills you hold. It was in how easily you could let them go. And this wasn't the last time he would use spectacle as a weapon. Scroll through his rare photographs. You'll find no soft smiles, no casual candids. Instead, black clothes, minimalist backdrops, sculpted shadows. In one, he stares intensely, embodying the archetype of a lone rebel. It's not fashion, it's narrative. He knows the world hungers for images more than words. So he feeds them the archetype, the outlaw genius, the man beyond control. But here's the thing about myths. They're never whole. Every carefully staged portrait hides as much as it reveals. And the man behind those images remains just out of frame, shaping the story but never fully stepping inside it. Telegram doesn't feel like Apple, or Google, or Facebook. It feels underground. More like a pirate radio station broadcasting on forbidden frequencies, raw, restless, unpolished. Its flaws are part of its charm. That outlaw aura draws people in, because when something feels untouchable, it feels honest. And honesty, even the messy kind, beats polished control. But history is littered with outlaws who became legends, and outlaws who self-destructed. And Telegram, at a billion-user scale, isn't just a radio signal anymore. It's a battleground. One misstep and freedom slips into chaos. Ask him about politics, and he shrugs. I'm a libertarian, he'll say. But press further, and the answers turn slippery, almost playful. Less manifesto, more riddle. His philosophy is not a program, it's a performance. A refusal to play the game on anyone else's terms. A rejection so pure, it sometimes feels absurd. Admirable? Maybe. Dangerous? Definitely. Because refusal is not a strategy, it's a stance. And a stance can inspire millions, or collapse under its own weight. The question is, how long can you stand against the world before the world forces you to move? Here's the twist. Durov's greatest enemy might not be Putin. It might not be Silicon Valley. The greatest threat may be Durov himself. His refusal to compromise has made him untouchable, incorruptible. But perfectionism cuts both ways. It keeps him pure, and it keeps him brittle. The same instincts that let him defy governments also isolate him from allies, blind him to pragmatism, and push him toward impossible standards. The danger isn't that the world will break him. The danger is that he'll break himself. And the question hangs, can a man who rejects every bond really carry a global empire on his own shoulders? Durov plays the game like a grandmaster. Except the board is sparse. He relies on a tight-knit team, but every major move is his alone. No traditional investors. No second pair of eyes to challenge him. When he wins, it's genius. When he loses, it's catastrophic. There's no one to catch him if he stumbles, no one to say stop before it's too late. Imagine playing chess with few allies. Perfect strategy on your side, yes, but in the end, it risks drifting towards stalemate. And stalemate, for an empire like Telegram, could be more dangerous than outright defeat. Telegram is everywhere, yet nowhere. It's banned in Russia, restricted in Iran, attacked in Europe, questioned in America, and still, it thrives. It reappears in every protest, every uprising, every encrypted corner of the internet. It's less a company than a ghost empire, built not on offices or employees, but on code and belief. An empire without borders, without armies, without a homeland. One man's will has conjured it into existence. The empire may survive him. But the haunting question remains, can he survive the empire? So here we are. The paradox is complete. Is Pavel Durov the last great defender of digital freedom? Or has he built a machine even he cannot control? He is hero and villain, monk and mogul, chess master and ghost. He embodies the very contradictions that define our age of technology. And the final question isn't really about him at all. It's about us. What do we want from the tools we use? Freedom or control, connection or safety? Because if history has taught us anything, it's this. Men like Durov don't just shape technology. They force us to decide what kind of world we're willing to live in. So maybe the final question isn't about Pavel Durov at all. Maybe it's about us. About what kind of world we're willing to choose. Freedom always comes with risk. Control always comes with a cost. The line between the two has never been thinner. If this story moved you, subscribe and join the conversation. Do you believe Durov is protecting freedom, or has he built a machine even he can't control? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to go even deeper into how visionaries can lose control of their own creations, my last video uncovers the dark truth about Barbie's creator, a man who gave the world a dream but died in obscurity.